Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. Let's see. Never good to start with the word and public speaking. People say that word a lot, and I realize as I'm watching my podcast back, I say it a lot. And what did I do? I just started this one off with a But thanks everybody in Chicago for coming to see me last weekend, a.k.a. Schaumburg. And if anybody's from Chicago people are quick to let me know Schaumburg is not Chicago. You have to make a left out of the airport and not a right. But it's I like the area. Beautiful area. If you're ever in Chicago, my personal favorite breakfast spot is a place called Wildberry. There's one in Schaumburg and there's one in downtown. I don't know if there's other ones, but man, they got good food at that place, Wildberry. Yeah, we did. We ended up just keeping 6 shows. We went clean. We sold all 6. We had 2 Friday, 3 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and it was just a good week. Honestly, I got no complaints. They run that thing like it's one of the most well-run clubs in the country. I'll put it that way. It's just solid. But this week I'm in. Well, by the time this airs, I already left Des Moines, but I am in Omaha, Nebraska on Thursday, June 22nd. And then 23rd to the 25th, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri at the Improv in Zona Rosa. Shouts out to Travis Kelsey. Hope you can make it out. Then June 30th through July 2nd, I'm in Portland, Oregon at the Helium Comedy Club. July 6th to the 9th, I'm in Austin, Texas at Cap City Comedy Club. And July 13th through the 16th, I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at Helium Comedy Club. And July 22nd, I am at the Pearl Theater inside the Palms Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. I used to do that every year during the summer, and then COVID hit. And then this is my first year back at the Palms since 2019. So I can't wait. Somebody actually sent me a picture of the way the Palms Hotel is. They put all their acts on the side of the building, and it takes up the whole building. So I'm not going to lie. It's kind of cool when somebody sends you a picture and it's your whole face on the side of a building. So that's cool. But first thing I want to talk about is ticket sales and being a comedian in general. Because I was watching, I wasn't watching the Fighter and the Kid podcast. I saw a highlight of it with Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub. And Brian was talking about how he's a club act and he hasn't really transitioned into theaters by himself. And he was saying like he gets frustrated sometimes that he hasn't yet. And but he said he was doing a meet and greet. And his wife had to, like, remind him of what being a comedian's all about because I guess he shook a guy's hand or he took a picture with the guy, shook his hand. And when the guy was walking away, he did a fist pump. He's like, yes. And his wife was like, you made that guy's day just by shaking his hand. So you might not sell 10,000 tickets, but to that guy, you could have changed his whole day just by that little thing. So you got to be appreciative of the fans that you have. And I'm glad I saw it because I'm never one to compare myself to other people. But I don't compare myself to other people. It's just sometimes you wonder, dang, why do I got to work so hard to sell out? But here's the thing. It's like a catch-22. It's like I am selling out. So I got to be grateful for that. And I'm one of them middle-of-the-road guys. Like, I sell out at the comedy clubs, but I don't sell out, like, so far in advance that it's just like done deal. Gary Owen for sale, and it's sold out. No, I have to work for it. I got to promote it on my social media outlets. The club has to buy ads, and eventually we sell out. And the way the comedy business works is you got some people, they'll say, yeah, I sold out, but they paper the room. There's a lot of free tickets. I don't have any free tickets to give away. If there's 100 people in the room, that's 100 paid people. So I have to be appreciative of that, because sometimes you forget in the big scheme of things, like, oh, I make a great living. I have a great life, and I'm selling tickets, quite a few. And I can do a theater or I can do a club. Can't do arenas. I'm not there yet. Can't do it's not like a tour where I'm just going to do theaters and it's going to sell immediately. So it's like I'll do some theaters and then I'll do some clubs and then I'll do some theaters and I'll do some clubs. But I've consistently done that for the last 10 years. And so, yeah, I needed to hear that from that clip because it resonated with me, because I go, oh yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm not doing bad. So I'm glad I saw that with Brian Callen, because right now, all of those dates I just told you, Des Moines, great. We're just do one night in Des Moines, but Omaha, Nebraska, we sold out the first show. We only had one show. It's a Thursday, so we added a second. And then Kansas City, 2 shows are already sold out, and I think I got 5. So I'm pretty sure we'll go clean. Friday and Saturdays for sure going to sell, and Sundays it should. We should be all right. But and then Portland. Now I ain't been to Portland, and God, I remember the last time I was in Portland because it was the night the Heat beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think it was like Game 5 or Game 6, but I remember I was watching the game, and by the time the opener went up, thank God it was on the West Coast, the game was just about over with, and so I got to see the end of it. And that was LeBron's first title with the Heat, and that was the last time I was in Portland. That's how long it was, and the ticket sales are just okay right now, but we'll see what happens. It should pick up in the next couple weeks. Austin's looking pretty good, and I haven't got ticket counts for Philadelphia, but Vegas is doing good too. Yeah, I haven't got ticket counts for Philadelphia, but Vegas is doing good too. So out of all the shows I got coming up, Portland's the only one that I would say is probably a little slow, but got a couple weeks. It should pick up. But speaking of touring, it was funny. You get on social media, and there's so many music tours out there right now, but I saw that Anita Baker kicked Babyface off her tour, and they were touring together. And when I first heard that tour, I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's solid. You got 2 legends. And then something happened in the beginning where Anita was running late. Anita Baker. Anita was running late, and Babyface couldn't go up. The show was starting late. It was something along them lines. But I've always heard it's weird, like, I've always heard in the past that Anita can be diva-ish. Whether that's validated or not, I don't know. I've heard that and rumors about her. Not that she's a bad person, but she can be a little diva-ish, and we all have our diva moments on tour. Never heard nothing bad about Babyface. The only thing I've ever heard about Babyface was if you're in the studio with him, he keeps that studio like 80 degrees. That's what I've heard about Babyface. When he's recording, I was like, oh, that sounds like hell. I would never want to be in studio with him. I like my dressing room and green room at about 68. When I get off stage, I'm already a little warm. I want to go to the green room. It's freezing. But the reason Anita Baker kicked him off is because his fans, I guess they tweeted some stuff to her, and she said it's verbal abuse and cyberbullying and all that stuff. And I'm just like, we're in the entertainment business. People are going to say bad things about you. I just think that's a cop-out. I think it's a cop-out. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely personal, and they found a way to get Babyface off the tour. But to say you're abused by social media, by somebody else's fans, Babyface didn't do it. He didn't tweet nothing. And maybe there's always a little bit of truth in some of the stuff. I think when you know things are false, it just doesn't bother you at all. But when there's a little bit of truth to it, that's when it hurts a little bit, and you look for reasons. So how do you get in the entertainment business and not realize you're going to get criticized, or you're going to have people that don't like you, and they don't even have to have a reason. They just don't. So I thought that was a bit of a I thought it was a cop-out on Anita Baker's part. I'm Team Babyface on this one. Yeah, I think he got screwed in this. Hopefully he got all his money up front, or at least half the tour money. Because when you go on tour and you allot these dates, you can't work. Like, you're like, I set aside this amount of time. If the tour is 6 months, I set about 6 months of time to go on tour with Anita Baker. And now, not that he's hurting for money or anything, but like, that is income that he had coming in that he doesn't have anymore. So hopefully he got his money up front, or he got compensated. But even once Babyface got kicked off, he still is Mr. Classy. All he said was, I'm saddened by the news that Anita Baker has decided to remove me from the Songstress tour. It's unfortunate and disheartening to see how things have played out via social media. While I was looking forward to the rest of the dates, I have nothing but love and respect for Anita, and I wish her the best for the remainder of her tour. So the guy just class act. I feel bad that he got kicked off the tour. I mean, not that bad. They're both fine. But, here it was. The Digital Feud appears a day back to a performance in New Jersey last month. That May 10th, the Baker's tour was delayed 2 hours due to technical difficulties, with Babyface's entire set ultimately getting cut out. He was asked not to perform in order to give Mrs. Baker space and time to perform her show in its entirety. So yeah, that was disrespectful. You're running late and you're asking Babyface to suffer the consequences of that. So yeah, that was kind of. I think we all can kind of see what's happening here. She showed up late, and Baker recently tweeted that the decision was not her call because she has no contract with her support act. She was with Babyface and not co-headlining the tour, and she's actually been kind of to help expose him to my arena-sized fan base and criticize fan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is very diva-ish, everything I read. So, yeah, I'm Team Babyface on this one. That's just crazy to me. Speaking of another crazy person, not another crazy person, but the big news that I read everywhere was this Baby Gronk kid. His dad is like living completely vicariously through him. He's on all these. I saw this. It was cringe-worthy. Some podcast where the dad would just feed him an answer and going, "Hey, ask that again. Ask that again. Now you say this." And this is a train wreck that we've all seen coming, and it's like it's a weird balance. Like, we want dads involved in their kids' lives, but we don't want to. I mean, it's great this guy's being a dad, but man, you're putting a lot of pressure on that kid, and it seems like he's more consumed with making the kid famous than anything else. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. But right now, it's so cringeworthy. You hear about so many child actors and how it pans out, and their life kind of goes to shit after a while. Sometimes they don't, but most of the times you hear stories like that. And I mean, if this kid doesn't go to the NFL. And, I mean, he's so young. It's like you don't know how growth spurts go and everything else. Like, I mean, we all know those kids that was huge in 5th grade but then didn't really grow after that. And then you got the guys that are late bloomers that wasn't that big, and all of a sudden they just shot up, and then they were just huge. I'm trying to think. Like, think about Brian Urlacher. He was a safety when he went to college. He ended up being one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Yeah, that wasn't in the cards. And perfect example, Jackson Hayes, New Orleans Pelicans. He grew up with my kids, and that guy didn't even play basketball. He was on the varsity team his junior year, but barely played. And then that summer, he just shot up, grew like 5 inches, jumping out the gym, and all of a sudden, right his senior year, he's getting recruited by everybody. Goes to Texas, now he's in the NBA. But if you would have looked at him before that, you would have never thought that kid was going to the NBA or even had a shot. But, if you would have saw him at 10, you would have never thought that. So it's just even I'm not gonna get it, but I've seen it too many times where the big kid it's 10 years old is not the big kid and the athletic kid when he gets to high school, and the pressure this dad's putting on him. Oh my God, if he doesn't pan out, I'd hate to see what's gonna happen. It's this weird balance of being a dad, though. It's like it's funny how Father's Day just passed, and those Baby Gronk stuff and his dad all came to light Father's Day week. So it's like, is it a good thing or is it not? I don't know. Is it good? I mean, I'm starting to think somehow. I used to do a joke how dads are overrated because LeBron didn't have one and Barack didn't have one. And, geez, mine wasn't worth anything either. Jesus Christ. I think the worst thing about Father's Day this year was interesting, too. Like, the spitefulness in you really wants to post something when you don't have a good relationship with your dad. And somebody gave me good advice about when you don't, whether you're going through whatever with your parent, kids, whatever, not kids, but friends. Somebody said, post something like go to Instagram, put the picture up, type in what you really wanted to say, and then delete it. Never post it. And I've done that before, and I've never posted anything. And it does help because you feel like, okay, I got it out of my system, but nobody saw it. Because, man, I think of some of the stuff my dad has done since my divorce. Oh my God! I mean, how you? I think that's what got me was with my dad. I don't want this to be a Hateful Father's Day episode, but just you're not there growing up for somebody, and then you become older, and now you're trying to fuck up the guy's life as an adult with the divorce. I was like, I mean, I wish this is like a scene out of a movie. I wish somehow I could translate what happened in mediation into a film, because I'm sitting there in mediation and me and my ex are being cordial, and then she just goes, I'll never forget as long as I live. She was like, yeah, what happened at $292,000 you won in Reno? And I was like, what are you talking about right now? And I'm literally macking my brain like, I've never been to Reno. I've never stayed in Reno, Nevada. I drove through it one time in 2018. That was it. But I've never been to Reno. And I'm just going, what is she talking about? And she was like, yeah, I saw it. I saw the screenshot. And I was like, what? And I'm sitting there going, and you know, it's like a Rolodex is going on in your brain. Like, what is she talking about? I went, oh my God, you got to be shitting me. So when my ex in mediation had said, what happened to the $292,000 I won in Reno? My neighbor moved to Reno, Nevada. My old neighbor in California moved to Reno. His wife hit for $292,000. He sent me a screenshot of it. And I was like, no way. And we're going back and forth. And then me and my dad we was cool at that time. I sent that screenshot to my dad. And I said, hey, look what I just won on the slot machine. I go, don't tell Kenya, she'll want half, LOL. And he goes, no way. So then I called him and I was like, yo, I'm kidding. I didn't win that. My neighbor won it. So he took that screenshot of that picture and my text and sent it to my ex, but never told her I was kidding. Never told her that wasn't me. He's just starting shit to start shit. And I'm going, why would you do that? Why would you know that's a lie? And then my ex ended up believing me because I go, dude, you have your lawyers got all my financial records. So at no point is there am I getting gas in Reno? Was there an airline ticket to Reno? Was there a hotel charge in Reno? Was there a restaurant charge in Reno? So if I went to Reno, that means I rode in on a horse and I ate out of my car. Well, I couldn't have a car. I didn't spend no money. I went to Reno and spent no money. And how did I get there? So I think she believed me after that. But she still, like, at first she kind of gave me a side eye, but I was like, Kenya, come on now. $292,000, you can't hide that. And then, so that's the thing. I was like, why would he do that? He's just starting shit to start shit. And all this then was, he got mad at me because, I don't want to get it, but he got mad at me over being entitled. I came in town, went to a Reds game, and didn't invite him. And my dad got in his feelings, and that kind of ended our relationship right there because he left a voicemail, and he made a phone call to me, and we were cuss each other out. And I basically cussed him out more than he cussed me out, basically. So he got upset. And then he immediately went to my ex and started telling her a bunch of shit about me. I'm like, who does that? And by the way, and I got the text on my phone to show it. When the divorce first hit the fan, this is the same dude that tried to go in on her. He was like saying all this shit about her. I said, no, you got to stop that. You can't be going in on her. I said, her whole world's kind of flipped upside down right now. Like, she's scared. I go, you can't just go in on her and start putting her down. Stop looking at it like that. So I'm just like, he's a piece of shit. So yeah, that wasn't a great Father's Day from me to him. So bunch of lying ass bitch. So and then what else came down sports related? Ja Morant got 25 games from the NBA. I thought that was light, and it wasn't the fact that he had a gun. Tennessee is a legal state. It's more of he lied to Adam Silver. Similar to Michael Vick to Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank, I think, would have really went to bat for Michael Vick back in the day. But he said what hurt him the most was he sat down with Michael Vick in his office, and Michael Vick just lied to him. And Michael Vick has always copped to that later on. Damn, I said again. I think that's the big deal with Ja Morant. And 25 games I thought it was going to be 50. So if he can get these 25 games, get in no trouble, and then come back, he might come back with a vengeance. Memphis might be someone to look out for next year, especially if he keeps his nose clean and denounces gun violence. Maybe he needs to start denouncing rap lyrics that have gun violence in them. He's got to take those steps, similar to what Michael Vick did with the dog fighting. What Ja Morant is not even close to what Michael Vick did, and Michael Vick came back. So he should be all right. 25 games, what is that? The season starts late October, so you're looking at November, December. Yeah, he'll be back by January. He'll be back by January, maybe December. So he'll be all right. Yeah, that was light, I thought, if that's all he got. And then I was talking to somebody about Tyler Perry bought BET, and I thought, like, oh man, that's huge. And to see like where Tyler started, like he always makes if you don't know by now, he started living in his car, and then he started doing these plays. And shouts out to Tyler. He put me on House of Pain years ago for one season. And it's funny when I was thinking about it, like what I remember about certain people that are CEOs of companies that, not like a Kraft, not like a Procter and Gamble where you can get replaced easily. Someone like Tyler Perry, who has so many employees now, and he's responsible for so many people's lives. Like, if something was to happen to him, and I don't know about today, but especially like when I was 2006, I was on House of Pain. So that was 17 years ago. God, I was on that show 17. No, it was 2008, 15 years ago. Okay, that's not much better. I didn't realize it was that long ago. Holy cow. Only man, it's 2008. I remember it because I had all the True Religion jeans. And that's all I kept wearing to set every day. And one of the guys in the cast was like, hey, man, how much are them jeans? I was like $200. He was like, you spent $200 on a pair of blue jeans? I said, yup. He was an older cast member. But I remember what I'm getting at is I remember Tyler would come down. Here's our normal day when we was on House of Pain. We would do sometimes 2-3 episodes in a day, but we would just shoot the barbershop scenes on Mondays. So you come in Sunday, put you up at a hotel. Monday morning you go to set. You table read. You sit there and read the episode that day. And then you go to breakfast. And then you come. No, I'm sorry. You get the set. Breakfast is immediate. And then you go to the table read. And then after the table read, you block the scenes. You go to set and block the scenes, and that's usually where Tyler would show up. Tyler would show up, you block it, and then you take off and you go to lunch and makeup, hair, all that. Well, makeup, hair, lunch. Then you come back and you shoot your scenes that day. And that sounded short, but that was like a 12-hour day right there. Because blocking takes a little bit of time, table read takes a little bit of time, and everything else. But Tyler would always come down for when we were blocking the scene. He'd come down. He always had this green juice in a bottle, and it was like in a shaker thing with blended. And I kept thinking, yeah, keep drinking that green stuff because it looked healthy. And I kept thinking, man, if something happened to him, he got sick or passed away, I kept thinking there's so many people that are unemployed because so many people rely on him for their finances. And I don't know if anybody else ever took that approach or ever thought of that, but I was like, dang, if he goes down, I go, man, this all goes away. All of it. It must be what Kevin Hart's people like. Kev's had the same people working with him forever. You got Spank, Naeem, Joey Wells, Harry, Barber Wayne. But the other guys that aren't stand-ups, that's different. But like if something was to happen to Kevin, he couldn't go on the road at all. I mean, Spank, Joey, and Naeem, I go, that would take a hit financially because those are his guys. They're always on the road. I'm always wondering, like, man, just stay healthy. Just stay healthy out there. I don't know if everybody else ever thought about that. But now that he bought BET, man, he was already a mogul, but now he's a super mogul. Dang. Just to think, he started doing plays. And I remember we were shooting Little Man in Vancouver, and Tyler had his first movie coming out, what was the first Madea movie? Let me look it up. I can't remember the name of the very first one. Tyler Perry first movie. The very first one. I know people right now are probably yelling at it. You idiot. It's this one. Was it Diary of a Mad Black Woman? Was that was the first one, right? Yeah, I think that was the first one. Let me look. Yeah, that was the first. That was the first movie. But I remember before it came out, you know who called that? Keenan Ivory Wayans. Keenan Ivory Wayans. We were on the set of Little Man, and we were talking about movies coming out, and we was like, "Yeah, Tyler's got one coming out. It's gonna be his first movie." And Keenan was like, "Yeah, that's gonna do well." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, Keenan said it's an audience nobody's taken into account for that Tyler's taken over. And that really was older black women, especially church-going black women. Because his movies when they first came out, them churches was renting out theaters and bussing all these older black women that probably don't even drive. And they were going to see his movies. And especially Diary of a Mad Black Woman because it came out and, like, what do you call it? Like Lionsgate or whoever distributed it, gave him some money, and then let's see what happens. And then when that movie came out number one, they was like, all right, whatever you want, however many movies you want to do, we'll raise the budget. You've proven your fan base here, and you have an audience. And ever since then, boom, boom, boom. So he went from that movie. Dang. Okay, you can always look at Box Office. Box Office Mojo is a great site to go see movies, to see how much they made over the weekend, how much the budget was, if it really was a success. So if you don't know that website, that's the one. So I'll give you an idea. Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It'll tell you the budget and then how much it made. So $50 million it made domestically. Ooh, 19,000 worldwide. Let's say Tyler's not big in Poland. We can pretty much say that. So the opening weekend was $21.9 million. So almost $22 million opening weekend. The movie's entire budget was $5.5 million. So right off the bat, he had made the studio $16 million. First weekend out. And then when it was all said and done, he made it ended up being $50 million on a $5.5 million budget. Are you kidding me right now? Yeah. They pretty much said you can do whatever you want after that. That's crazy. And probably wasn't even that many theaters. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that was pretty much his range was about 50 mil in the movies. Like, so look, I'll just type in Tyler Perry. You can see kind of how much his movie made and how the budgets were. So that was 2005, right? So then let's see, like 2007, he did Why'd I Get Married? So that, again, domestic opening weekend, $21 million. It may end up making $55 million overall. It doesn't say, it doesn't give the budget. But that movie was not a $55 million budget. It doesn't give how much it cost. So you got another movie made $55 million. And then I'm trying to think. I Can Do Bad All By Myself. That was Taraji's $51 million. Domestic opening, $23 million. There's a theme here. Like, he knew his audience so much. You could kind of gauge how these are all in the beginning movie. Now, obviously, you have some that do a little more and a little less. The Family That Prays, $37 million. Yeah, that one went down a little bit. So let's see when did Madea Goes to Jail. I wonder how that one did. Oh my gosh, Madea Goes to Jail, 90 mil. Opening weekend of $41 million. When he puts Madea in it, usually the Madea ones do a lot better. So then Meet the Browns, he kind of went away from what he normally is. That wasn't a Madea one. $41 million. They turned that into a TV show. Or was it? It was already a TV show and turned into a movie. Daddy's Little Girls. That was a good one. 31 mil. And that's the one that had Gabrielle and Idris. Acrimony. 43 mil. Like, his movies just make money, man. He's just killing it. Boo, a Madea Halloween. 73 million. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Safe to say. Now, Singles Mom, I don't think that did that well. Yeah, that only did 15 million. That was probably one of his few, quote unquote, I'm not going to say dud. That was probably, did that movie do the worst? Pretty sure, yeah, it was probably the worst one. Financially, I'm talking about. Acrimony, 43. God, I didn't even know that movie did that well. That was a Taraji one. He really likes working with Taraji. But as you can see, Tyler, man, he's killing it. And now he bought BET. So if you want to show him BET, you got to go through Tyler Perry right now. So all you people that was talking shit about him over the years, might want to take that back. That's always I always like when I got something bad. If I got something I think might cost me work, I don't say nothing. I don't say a word. Because this whole business, man, it's a big cycle. It comes back. It's one thing to make a joke about somebody, but some people talked about Tyler. They have malicious intents behind it. You could say any kind of joke if there's no malicious intent behind it, but some of the stuff I've heard about Tyler in the past, I'm like people would ask. I was doing one interview. I was on we were Tom Joyner cruise, and we were doing like a round table. We was talking. There was a couple actors, actresses, and stuff. And somebody asked me, they go, "Is Tyler Perry hard to work with?" We've heard he's hard to work with. And this guy was really trying to take me down the rabbit hole. And I said, "Listen, man," I go, "show up to work on time, know your lines, and go home. You do that, nobody's hard to work with." And everybody's like, "Oh, yeah." So I was like, that's all you got to do. Be prepared, show up to work, be ready to work, know your scenes, know your lines, and then that's it. Go home. You with that, nobody's hard to work with. So I will say that was some of the best breakfast I had in Tyler Perry Studios. I don't know who he had making craft services. And then they had this, they used to make this Mexican hot chocolate, they called it. Oh, this stuff was so good. Anyways, I'm rambling about Tyler Perry, but congratulations on buying BET. Now, it's funny, now that I'm back in the swing of doing the podcast, I'll forget. I said I'm doing a movie review every week, and week 3 I already forgot last week. But I had brought up Creed 3, but I said, man, that was like the best boxing movie since, like, it reminded me of Warrior, a UFC movie. If you ain't seen the movie Warrior, so Tom Hardy's in it. I want to give you the rest. Brian Callen's in it. I brought up him earlier. Came out in 2011. Nick Nolte, Tom Hardy. So this is what the breakdown of the movie is. The youngest son of an alcoholic former boxer returns home where he is trained by his father for a competition in a mixed martial arts tournament, a path that puts the fighter on a collision course with his estranged older brother. So basically the movie's this. Tom Hardy grew up in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, I think. Comes home, nobody's seen him. He went to war, and Nick Nolte's his alcoholic father shows up on his doorstep. This first 30 seconds of the movie is what you see. Shows up on the doorstep of Nick Nolte, his dad. Clearly have a strained relationship. Come to find out, Tom Hardy ended up moving to like Seattle with his mom. His mom got real sick, and like Nick Nolte wasn't around. So he held a lot of resentment and anger towards his dad because of that. But he ends up, he's this badass, Tom Hardy is. So he ends up just trying to work out at this UFC gym. And there's like a UFC fighter that's a pro, and he's basically talking shit to everybody in the gym. He's knocking guys out. He goes, I need somebody that could spar for real. And he looks over they can't find a normal sparring partner. He looked at the owner of the gym. He goes, I'll give him some rounds. And he goes, what was it, like $200? So they're going to give him like $200-$300 to spar with this UFC fighter. And Tom Hardy ends up knocking him out, like really fucking him up. And everybody's like, people got on their phones, and it goes viral. So then people are like, who's this guy that knocked out like this #1 contender UFC fighter? And so Tom Hardy, like, he's starting to get some looks about him, right? Well, long story longer. There's a UFC tournament, and the winning prize is like $10 million. And they take 16 of the top fighters from all over the world, and they're going to have like a tournament over a weekend. And so Tom Hardy gets in it off what he did to that guy. And then his brother gets in it too. His brother's a school teacher in Philadelphia. And he UFC fights on the side, and he gets in it, and he's behind on his bills. He's got 2 kids. His wife's like, I can't believe you're doing this. And so Tom Hardy's dad, Nick Nolte, trains Tom Hardy. This other guy who's Joel Edgerton, he gets trained by Frank Grillo. And Frank Grillo is one of my favorite actors in the game right now. And there's so many good people in this movie. And I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it's pretty good. It's the best UFC movie I've ever seen. I mean, it's so good. Like, I downloaded it, and I watched it on my phone, like, for about 6 months straight. Like, I kind of got sick of watching it, actually. But, yeah, I'm not going to give it away, obviously. But it really is like, and come to find out that Tom Hardy's like this big Marine hero. Like, he saved all these guys' lives, and he there was like a Humvee that got caught in like a ravine, and the guys couldn't get out, and they were all drowning. And I guess Tom Hardy came in and ripped the door off and got all these Marines out of this Marine vehicle. It wasn't a tank, but it was something like that. Some ATV type vehicle. And he gets them out, but then he never sticks around. He just opened the door, got him all to safety, and dipped. So nobody knew who he was. So now his face went viral for knocking out this UFC fighter. There's like a couple Marines was like, yo, that's the dude. That's the dude that saves our lives. So now he's like this Marine hero from a dysfunctional home, alcoholic father. He needs the alcoholic father to train him for this UFC tournament. And he wants to make the money, not for himself, Tom Hardy. He wants to send it. His best friend in the Marines got killed. And he wants to send it to his family, his best friend's wife and kid. He wants to send that money. Like completely a selfless. I'm surprised he didn't get more heat on it. I mean, it was so good. And when I saw it, I didn't really know what it was about. But I was like, man, it's a good movie. Let's see. Okay. I want to see how much money this movie made. Warrior. It only made $13 million. $13,600,000. Had a $25 million budget. Oh, I mean, it tanked. It tanked at the box office. Oh, worldwide, okay. International, it made 9.6 million. So it ended up making worldwide $23 million. Still on a $25 million budget. They lost a little money, but man, that was a good movie. I can't believe it had to do well on distribution. I can't believe it only made $23 million. I guess I can. I didn't hear about it. I saw it really later on in life. That's crazy how some movies translate to overseas and some don't. Like I said, those Tyler Perry movies, they weren't making a lot overseas, but this one made almost as much internationally as it did domestically. That's crazy to me. Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but man, that's a good movie. It just, so many layers to it. How Tom Hardy's got all this pent up like hatred and animosity towards his brother and his dad, but he needs his dad, and he's very clear, look, we ain't father son, you're my trainer and I'm working out with you, and that's it. And then he don't like he's got some shit on his brother because his brother wasn't around, and his brother's like, you took mom, I didn't know where she was at. And he basically is like, you left us, you left me with mom. And his brother's like, dude, I got married, I got kids, I had to take care of my family. He's like, you got nieces, you've never seen them. There's so much to it. Like, the acting's so good. I was like, man, there's a scene on the beach in Atlantic City. That's where the fights take place. It's pretty deep, especially when you come from like a dysfunctional family like I did. I was like, any of these dysfunctional movies you kind of gravitate to, and you see both sides. That's the thing. I saw Tom Hardy's side, and then I saw his brother's side too, and I was like, man, it's pretty deep. It's a good movie. So if you ain't seen Warrior yet, I recommend you see it. It's probably free on most outlets right now. I'm sure it's like on Hulu. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix, but Amazon Prime. I can't see them charging for it at this point. It's been out since 2011, so that's a little gift from you guys. A little free movie you get from me. So, all right, that's enough. This was a very dysfunctional father episode. But, yeah, congratulations to Tyler Perry. As of today, when I'm recording this, the Cincinnati Reds are the hottest team in baseball. So take that how you want. I'm always going to get a little Cincinnati in this podcast. Bengals, I've heard nothing. So that's always a good thing in the offseason. That's what you want out of your team. You want to hear nothing. That's what I'm hearing right now, nothing. So, all right, y'all. We will see you next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.